Who would have imagined that Nigel Farage, once derided as a fringe irritant in Scottish politics, would become the lightning rod for a political realignment north of the border? Yet here we are. With the defection of former Aberdeen South MP Russ Thompson to Reform UK, the political weather in Scotland has changed, and it's beginning to thunder. This is not merely a shift in party allegiance. It is the clearest sign yet that the complacency of Scotland's political establishment, Conservative, Labour, and SNP alike, is beginning to rot at the core. Thompson's move is not just symbolic, it's seismic. This is a man who once publicly backed Keamy Badenoch, a rising star in the Conservative ranks, as the best hope of neutralising Farage's threat. For him to now abandon that cause and embrace Reform UK is nothing short of a damning indictment of the Conservative Party's impotence and delusion. When your own champions begin to defect, not with bitterness but with relief, you are no longer a viable vehicle for political change. You are a relic. The Tories in Scotland have become politically homeless. They offer no compelling vision, no coherent defence of Scotland's industries, and no credible opposition to the cultural and economic malaise wrought by decades of SNP hegemony. Labour, meanwhile, is little more than a tired franchise, clinging to memories of a past when it mattered. And the SNP, smug and stagnant after nearly 2 decades in power, preside over a Scotland in decline, too busy fighting internal wars and issuing empty slogans to notice the growing discontent beneath them. Reform UK is stepping into this vacuum with boldness and moral clarity. Farage's platform, championing energy sovereignty, defending the North Sea oil and gas industry, and standing up for forgotten fishing communities, isn't just resonating because of its policy content. It resonates because it sounds like * conviction star. It cuts through the mealy-mouthed doublespeak of technocrats and speaks to a deeper yearning among voters, the desire for authenticity, strength, and unapologetic national self-interest. Farage's critics have long sneered at him for being a populist, as though speaking to the real concerns of real people were a defect in a politician. But in truth, what they fear is not populism, it's relevance. Farage is gaining traction in Scotland for the first time, not because he has changed, but because Scotland has. Scots are weary of being patronised. They are tired of watching their industries sacrificed at the altar of abstract climate targets while livelihoods are destroyed. They are fed up with identity politics, smothering any meaningful debate on governance, economy, and sovereignty. And they are increasingly disgusted by parties that claim to oppose one another while offering virtually indistinguishable platforms. Russ Thompson's defection is the 8th high-profile loss for the Tories to Reform UK in the North East. That is not a coincidence. That is a trend. And it is being driven by an unmistakable truth. The traditional parties have abandoned the North East, and the North East has finally had enough. These are communities that do not want their energy jobs erased to appease eco-fundamentalists in Holyrood or Brussels. They do not want their fishing waters bartered away in diplomatic chess games. They want a government that sees them, respects them, and fights for them. And Farage fights. There is a growing arrogance in the SNP, a belief that they can coast on inertia indefinitely. But the reformist tide is swelling, and it doesn't care about outdated tribal loyalties. Reform UK is now polling consistently in 2nd place across Scotland. That is extraordinary, an insurgent party eclipsing both Labour and the Conservatives in what were once their strongholds. Labour's fantasy of retaking the Scottish Parliament in 2026 is now just that, fantasy. Their tepid centrism inspires no passion. Their leaders whisper vague promises of reform, but when the time comes to act, they cave or compromise. They are not the answer. There is a new axis forming in Scottish politics. It is bold, unfiltered, and willing to say the things others fear to. It is willing to defy orthodoxy, to demand energy independence, to challenge the consensus on immigration, to call out the failings of multicultural tokenism, and to assert a national identity without shame. That is what Reform UK offers, a rebellion against the managerial politics of decline. For too long, Scotland has been stitched into a straitjacket of stale politics and suffocating conformity. It has been assumed that the Tories can't rise, that Labour can't win, and that the SNP can't fall. But as Thompson's defection shows, nothing is inevitable. The fault lines are shifting. The era of passive acceptance is ending. Reform UK is not just disrupting the conversation, it is redefining it. The question is no longer whether Farage belongs in Scottish politics. The question is, who can stop him? So far, no one has come close.